The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to keep its policy corridor unchanged, with most rates converging towards the floor rate in recent weeks. The State Minister of Finance reports positive economic outcomes, including an increase in reserves and a significant appreciation of the rupee in 2024. The stock market has closed on another low, marking the second consecutive day of declines. An electric taxi kicks off its operations in Egypt, offering an eco-friendly ride-hailing solution. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Monetary Policy Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to maintain the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate at their current levels of 8.5% and 9.5% respectively.
Today we are meeting for the third Monetary Policy Review of this year. The Monetary Policy Board at its meeting held yesterday decided to keep the policy interest rates unchanged. Accordingly, the standing deposit facility will remain at 8.5%, while standing lending facility rate will remain at 9.5%, and statutory reserve ratio will continue at 2%.
The board arrived at this decision after carefully assessing the current and expected macroeconomic developments and possible risks on domestic and global fronts, with a view to maintaining inflation at the targeted level of 5% over the medium term while supporting the economy to reach its potential. Meanwhile, speaking at the press conference today, the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe, stated that although the financial institutions have reduced those rates, they have not been reduced to the same extent as the reduction of interest rates of the central bank. He further stated that the interest rates of newly issued loans should be reduced. The changes that need to be made for the loans that have been issued by now will happen soon. We are keeping an eye on that. At the same time, we have seen instances where new loans are issued for higher interest rates, but that shouldn't happen. We expect the change to happen soon. Sri Lanka's State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe says reforms have led to positive incomes, including an increase in reserves. He posted on social media platform X that the reforms have started to yield positive outcomes, reflecting significant progress in multiple areas.
Sri Lanka's gross official reserves have seen a significant increase, reaching $5.5 billion by the end of April of 2024. Additionally, the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated by approximately 8% against the US dollar so far in 2024. This will boost investor confidence and enhance the country's ability to manage external shocks and meet international obligations and enhance confidence on the economy. The appreciation of a rupee can help lower inflation and reduce the overall cost of living and make it easier for the government and businesses to service foreign debt, thereby improving our financial reputation globally. Further, it will improve the trade balance by potentially reducing the trade deficit. Sri Lanka's inflation was 1.5% in the 12 months to April 2024, measured by the widely watched Colombo Consumer Price Index.
Amnesty International, along with their other organizations, have urgently called on Sri Lankan government to hold the current proposals for new labour law and to ensure that reforms to the labour laws are only taken after due consultation with the workers and their representatives.
The group expressed their serious concerns over proposed reforms which, as they stand, would weaken the rights and protection of workers by removing international minimum standards and rights. In an open letter to the government and Parliament of Sri Lanka on the imminent labour law reforms, the coalition has raised significant concerns that the proposed reforms, if implemented without proper consultation, would weaken workers' rights and protections by eliminating international minimum standards and rights. Amnesty International, Clean Clothes Campaign and Human Rights Watch expressed serious concerns about imminent and sweeping changes to Sri Lankan labour laws. They stated that the fear for the future of Sri Lanka's garment industry, not just for workers, but also how the proposed reforms would negatively impact brands, human rights risk assessments and responsible sourcing if these changes are pushed through. They urged the government to immediately halt the current reform process and to ensure that additional new steps towards any necessary reforms to the labour laws are only taken in due consultation with workers and their representatives.
The High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to Singapore, Senarath Dissanayake, met a team of officials from the Immigration Checkpoint Authority of Singapore at the High Commission recently. The ICA delegation is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka between the 26th to the 31st of May 2024.
The visit aims to explore opportunities for collaboration in enhancing Sri Lanka's immigration system through integrating advanced technology and achieving standards similar to those of Singapore. This visit has been arranged following a request made by Minister of Public Security of Sri Lanka Derana and from Minister for Home Affairs and Minister for Law of Singapore K. Shanmugam. During the meeting, the High Commissioner highlighted the challenges Sri Lanka faces in border control. He emphasized that the Minister and the Sri Lankan Department of Immigration are eager to receive the delegation, as their expertise and insights would greatly contribute to Sri Lanka's efforts to modernize and improve the immigration processes.
Let's move on to a short commercial break now. Updates from the Colombo stock market coming right away. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Let's take you to the Colombo stock market. The Colombo Stock Exchange ends today's trading session marking another day recording lows. Both the All-Share Price Index and the S&P SL 20 Index were in the red, marking the second day of the week to record lows consecutively. Well, to get the insights, let's go to Dilon Disanayake joining us from Capital Alliance Securities.
Today, the Colombo Stock Exchange concluded with a decline compared to the previous trading session, ending at 12,228 points, marking an 83-point decrease from the previous session, with a turnover of 915 million rupees. The SL20 index also experienced a downward movement of 31 points to end the day at 3,619 points. Notable institutional engagement was observed across various sectors, with significant turnover in Sampath Bank, Pan Asia Bank, and Brown's Investments. The top 5 gainers for the day were Cargo Boat Development PLC, Tess Agro PLC, Lanka Ashok Leyland, Radiant Gems, and Macwoods Energy. The top 5 losers for the day were SMB Leasing non-voting, Blue Diamonds Jewelry non-voting, Blue Diamonds Jewelry voting, Industrial Asphalts, and Muller and Phipps Ceylon PLC. Foreign purchases amounted to 82 million rupees, while foreign sales amounted to 19 million rupees.
Sri Lanka's central bank kept its policy corridor unchanged, with the most rates converging towards the floor rate in recent weeks, helped by a build-up of excess liquidity from dollar purchases. Well, to get an analytical insight on how this would affect the capital market, let's connect Tharusa Ashokgar from First Capital Holdings.
So at the third monetary policy meeting for the year, the CBSL decided to maintain the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate at their current levels at 8.5% and 9.5% respectively. So this decision prompted a slight selling interest in the secondary bond market, reflecting the sentiment that rates have reached their lowest point. Looking at private sector credit, data for February and March 2024 show a steady growth trend, and the AWPLR has been steadily declining over the past 18 months, reaching a single-digit figure of 9.7% in line with policy rates. So we expect that the AWPLR will likely stabilize within the 9 to 10% range, subsequent with a surge in economic activity and consumer demand. Also, we expect the private sector credit to see a continuous uptrend going forward, with the bulk of credit growth is anticipated in the latter half of 2024, with First Capital Research projecting a 7.5% increase in private sector credit for the entire year. So today's policy announcement also suggests that market rates have bottomed out given the economy's revival, and continued reduction in rates could encourage excessive borrowing and spending, potentially leading to economic overheating. So as a result, we believe maintaining the rates at the current threshold is crucial to ensure sustainable economic growth.
Gold prices slipped today, with investors booking profits after a recent rally and pressure from the reduced probability of the Federal Reserve rate cuts, while the market awaited key US inflation data due later this week. Spot gold fell 0.3% to $2,343.99 per ounce after rising 0.7% yesterday. The bullion fell below its 21-day moving average, which currently stands at $2,348, but was on track for the fourth consecutive month of growing with a 2.5% gain in May. The spot price hit a record high of $2,449.89 on the 20th of May. Bullion is widely seen as an inflation hedge, but higher central bank rate cuts the opportunity for the cost-holding non-yielding gold. Global oil prices steadied today as the prospect of OPEC Plus maintaining oil supply curbs and its June 2nd meet in hopes of strong US summer fuel demand balanced concerns about the higher for longer US interest rates. The July contract for Brent, the global benchmark, rose 17 cents or 0.2% to $83.27 a barrel. The US West Texas Intermediate crude was at $78.79, up by $1.07 or 1.4% from Friday's close, having traded through a US holiday to mark a Memorial Day without a settlement. Well, yesterday's oil rose over 1% in muted trade, owning the public holidays in Britain and the United States as hopes of strong fuel demand with the start of the US summer, driving and vacation season providing support. The Sri Lankan rupee has slightly depreciated against the US dollar today compared to yesterday, according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased to 295 rupees and 8 cents, while the selling rate has also increased to 305 rupees and 41 cents. Let's observe how the rupee performed against other currencies. Let's take a short commercial break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Applied Graphic Technologies Corp has closed a non-brokered private placement with a strategic investor and had issued 2 million common shares at a price of $0.15 per share for gross proceeds of $300,000.
The closing of the offering is subject to final acceptance of the TSX Venture Exchange. The common shares issued will be subject to a whole period of 4 months and 1 day, expiring September 25, 2024, in accordance with applicable securities laws. The net proceeds of the offering will be used for exploration of the Queen's Mine Complex graphite project and general working capital. CEO Don Baxter said that he is pleased with the increased awareness of graphite as a supply-critical material for lithium-ion batteries, and in particular the interest in AGT's natural, high-grade vein graphite properties in Sri Lanka. None of these securities sold in connection with the offering will be registered under the United States Securities Act of 1933 as amended, and no such securities may be offered or sold in the United States absent registration or an applicable exemption from the registration requirements.
Derana's Hospital has forged a strategic alliance with Dialog Enterprise, the corporate ICT solutions arm of Dialog Asiata PLC, to introduce a cutting-edge software-defined wide area network solution. This collaboration marks a significant leap forward in revolutionizing the healthcare connectivity and operational efficiency. The deployment of SDWAN solution is poised to elevate the hospital's network infrastructure, ensuring seamless connectivity across its island-wide laboratory network. This enables Derana Hospital to manage its own secure network powered by Dialog. The SWAN solution facilitates streamlined operations through centralized administration and management, reducing the complexity of the hospital's operations and enhancing the efficiency of laboratory services. Sri Lanka's Selinco Insurance PLC said in a stock exchange filing that it has changed its name to Selinco Holdings PLC. The largest private sector insurance company in Sri Lanka, the company offers insurance, education, hydropower, healthcare and financial services. The company was included in S&P SL 20 index in June 2018. The share closed flat at 2,500 rupees. A. Bava & Co. Limited, also known as Bavas, one of the leading conglomerate in Sri Lanka with diversified business interests, recently announced the appointment of Nishantha Weerasinghe as its Deputy Managing Director. he will also continue to serve as the Director of Healthcare Division. He will be joining Janaka Gunasekara, who will also be continuing in his position as Deputy Managing Director and Agricultural Director. Veerasinghe was instrumental in taking the healthcare division of Bubbles to among the top 3 names in the industry today, achieving rapid progression and growth in recognition in the Sri Lankan market. A short commercial break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks moved in a tight range today as investors shielded away the big bets before a stirring of key inflation readings this week, while US market holiday also made for few trading cues. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was a standout performer in Asia, rising 0.9% after strong gains in the prior session. In contrast, China's benchmark Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite Indexes moved in a flat to low range. Australia's ASX 200 fell 0.2% as data showed retail sales grew less than expected in April amid pressure from inflation and high rates. Japan's Nikkei 225 index fell 0.4% while the broader topics lost 0.1%. South Korea's Kospi traded sideways while futures from India's Nifty 50 index pointed to a flat open after the index briefly hit the record highs in the prior session. Egypt's electric taxi service hits the road in the new administrative capital, providing an eco-friendly ride-hailing solution for the people within the city.
Egypt's electric taxi service hits the roads in the new administrative capital, providing an eco-friendly ride-hailing solution for people within the city. The new Capital Cab project was initiated by Egypt's Ministry of Transport and is owned by affiliated company Superjet, formerly known as the Arab Union for Land Transport. The initiative is operated by Caesar Clean Energy Transportation Solutions Company. The new Capital Cab service aligns with Egypt's efforts to develop its transportation system. The vehicles are equipped with advanced safety features, including interior and exterior cameras and GPS, and can be booked through a smartphone app. 10 electric taxis were introduced in its initial phase, with plans to roll out a total of 145 in subsequent phases.
Well, that marks the end of today's Nightly Business Report. We'll see you again tomorrow with more updates in the business world. Until then, I'm Vinod Varnasurya. Have a good night.